One sec, y'all. Trying to turn on my camera here. All right. Just seems like the Bulls are just gonna continue this trend of we're gonna beat the great teams, but then we're gonna lose to the teams that we should beat. So they go in Oklahoma City. They drop this game in overtime, 123 to 119 to the Thunder. I don't know. I'm not like very upset with this one, but obviously you should have won this. Unfortunately, they didn't. And I'm interested to see what Billy says because I personally think that this one might be a lot on him. I did not like how Billy Donovan was coaching this one. It just honestly seemed like the Bulls just weren't prepared for the Thunder tonight, and I don't know what exactly happened. And I mean, my God, I thought the role players did not have a great game. And I thought the starters, and the big three, it just seemed like it was like everything was put on them, and then they're missing shots, and they're not having the best shooting night, but they're at least still scoring. A lot of Caruso down the stretch. I thought that was the right decision because Io wasn't having a great game, but I thought Billy should have put P. Will on SGA. I really did. That to me did not make much sense. Because then Caruso then came out in overtime, and Io got put in, and then Io was guarding SGA, and I don't know exactly what that idea was about. Because P. Will, I mean, you're putting him guys like Lou Dort, and I'm just like, I would rather have P. Will guarding SGA down the stretch. I thought that was a missed opportunity by Donovan, and I thought this was the right time to use P. Will in crunch time, and Donovan did that, so he did that correctly. There's just some coaching decisions throughout this game where I'm like, I'm very irked. I'm very confused by some of these decisions by Donovan, and it concerns me overall because this is definitely one of those games where I think people underestimate the Thunder. I think the Thunder are actually a really good team overall, especially with SGA playing like a superstar. They're not winning, or going to get into the play-in tournament just due to the lack of talent, but like they're not at the bottom of the barrel like some people actually think. So yeah, you should have won this one, but I also knew going to OKC and playing in OKC, this is not going to be an easy win. No one has had an easy time against OKC all year, so I wasn't shocked to see that OKC was staying in this one, but just overall, man, I thought this was just a lack of preparation by Donovan. I thought it was a lack of preparation by the entire coaching staff. It just seemed like they had no clue who all the players were out there. I mean, SGA in this game, just like you gotta force him to shoot more from the perimeter, but the dude was just shooting inside shots all game. He's 0 for 3 from 3-point range in this one, but he shot everything like in the paint or mid range, and that's his game. Like that's where he dominates. But they didn't do that. I thought the players were running out to guys like on Josh Giddey, for example, and like acting like, oh, he's a great 3-point shooter. And I'm like, there are so many guys on the Thunder team where like you want them to shoot the 3-ball. You want to force them to beat you from the perimeter, but instead you're running out to them like they're Klay Thompson out there, and they're getting easy like line drives right to the rim. And so it ended up that the Bulls, they gave up 68 points in the paint tonight. Like, that's just straight up inexcusable. And I don't know what to exactly say. Like, is this on the players? But it seemed like the coaching staff was like, hey, these guys can shoot the ball, so we got to make sure we get them off the 3-point line. When I'm like, I want to see these Thunder guys, I want to see them shoot the ball. Like, I would not run out to them, honestly. I would actually, like, just very lightly close out and dare them to shoot the ball, but we saw the Bulls running out to them like they're Steph Curry or Klay Thompson out there. So I'm like, that's where I'm just like, is this coaching or is this really the players? It seemed like it didn't matter who it was out there. It didn't matter if it was Caruso or Javonte Green. Like our best defenders, like that. It looked like that was the game plan. It wasn't like the bad defenders were running out to the guys when they shouldn't. Like that, it just seemed like that was the game plan tonight, and I'm a little bit upset to see that because it seems like the Bulls did not know the scouting report, and whether it's on the players or coaching, who knows? But yeah, that did not look good tonight. Ouch, heartbreaking loss for the Bulls. I can't believe it. It's definitely heartbreaking. I I guess more so like I'm just like kind of sitting here just like disappointed and not really upset because this Thunder team again, like I do think people underestimate this Thunder team. Like they have a superstar in SGA. They have good role players in Lou Dort and Josh Giddey. I think those are actually very good solid players. I think Josh Giddey has great potential. But yeah, the Bulls should have won this one 100%, but it just didn't seem like the Bulls were prepared. So uh yeah, Bulls should have won this one, definitely. Yo, good to see you, Gogo. Glad to see you here again. Really wanted us to pull out the win. Dang, yeah, Bulls should have pulled this one out. And there's a couple things I want to talk about in this one that I'm just like, the Bulls should have definitely had a lead for most of this game. They got off to a great start, but then you saw immediately that the Thunder started the full court press. Once the Bulls got off to that hot start, like you immediately saw the adjustment, which was full court press. Okay, and that's to me, it's like that's great coaching. You know, where your team got off to probably one of the worst starts ever. You're off to a 9-0 start, and you're like, "Hey, full court press, let's go. Let's actually start defending these guys and force them out of the rhythm." And they did that. That's how they got back into the game. That's how they took the lead. And then in the third quarter, they were leading for most of the game until the Bulls came back. And you know they almost had this one. They almost stole this one, honestly, in that fourth quarter. But yeah, overall, just not good for the Bulls. And just I feel like a lot of coaching errors, honestly, man. I'm a little bit concerned with some decisions here by Donovan. Yeah. So first things first, I want to talk about is let's see, we were playing zone defense at times. That's what it seemed like to me, and I thought it was effective. So yeah, the Bulls went to a 2-3 zone, go in the third quarter, and what it did right was that it stopped Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from getting to his spot because SGA is looking to get to the elbow area, right? And that's where that's what it did right. But the problem with the zone is that it puts guys in awkward positions to go out to the shooters, and the Bulls were basically not in position to go out to the shooters. And if you're not in position to do that, you're running out to them when you probably shouldn't. And the Thunder were back cutting these guys through that zone defense and getting some easier looks at the rim because of it. So it stopped the star, but it didn't stop the role guys, and that's where it got where the Bulls had to just scrap it. It works well sometimes. I just don't think that's the that should be the solution for bad man-to-man defense though. Those two corner threes by Vooch were just bad, man. Yeah, Vooch missed those, but you know what? I'm happy with the shot. He just has to make it, And that's I'll say it's a funny name, but also I'm not gonna say too many. I see Cucklord here. Bulls need Vooch in the post more. Yes, that to me is the biggest coaching error tonight by Donovan and his coaching staff. I don't know what it was, but if you saw me tweeting throughout the game tonight, I was pretty livid when I was watching the Bulls kind of really not do well. So I said this during the second quarter, and then I then tweeted this out during halftime. The Bulls didn't find Vooch at all in the post, and I'm not blaming the players. I'm actually blaming Billy Donovan for this one because it seemed like with Billy Donovan, he just never wanted to call a post-up play for Vooch. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what is it that I'm missing that makes Billy Donovan want to use Vucevic on the perimeter more? Like use him outside and use him in the pick and roll. That to me made no sense, and I think that's a straight up just flat out coaching error by Donovan to not use Vucevic in the post more, and it bothered me for a while this game. And so I don't know, man. I really don't know. It seems like this was a really bad coaching game for Donovan and his staff. I'm glad to see people are agreeing that the Bulls should have used Vooch in the post more. They should have. They just straight up should have. And I just don't know why they didn't. I'm just so confused why Donovan was like, no, let's run pick and roll plays. Let's put Vooch in the corner. Let's put Vooch at the elbow and run horn set and have the screen and roll with whoever at the top of the key. Like, that to me is just not using Vooch correctly, especially when the Thunder just don't have any size to match up with Vooch. And there were definitely a couple of plays where Vooch actually got the ball in the post, especially in the first half, but instead of him looking to score, he looked to pass it. So it just seemed like Vooch just wasn't engaged this game at all. But I'm still going to argue that's on Donovan, because they should have just went to Vooch immediately in this game. I just don't understand why they didn't. And so the ending stat line for Vooch was 6 of 14 from the field, but 1 of 7 from 3. So the dude's not hitting his 3-point shot. Get inside. And they probably should have put Vooch using cross screen, using basically punch action to get the cross screen, and then have someone come up of down screen to get clear out the defense in the middle and put Vooch in the post on the block and just let him go to work. And they just didn't do that tonight. So I'm very, very confused with Donovan. That 100% to me is a Donovan issue. And this is something I've actually been calling against Donovan, because the Bulls lack paint points this game, or just as a team. They just lack paint points. They don't score in the paint. And one way to get those paint points up is to post up Vooch. That's a simple way to increase your paint points, and they just didn't do that tonight. So I'm blaming this one on Donovan for not getting Vooch in the post, as they should have just been using him all game. Bulls looked lethargic this game, aside from first half of first quarter and the fourth quarter. Overall, yeah, I would argue that. They looked pretty lethargic defensively. I think offensively they actually were pretty okay, except for not posting up Vooch. But offensively, I mean, they were again, like, I don't know what it is with this team, but like, you know, we always talk about 25 assists with this Bulls team. They got the 25 assists. They had a lot of assists in the first half. I believe it was 16 in the first half. So like, offensively, I thought they looked pretty good all game. At the end of the day, you're like, you know, especially fourth quarter time, you're just going to rely on your stars, and they did that, so the assists go down. But throughout the game, I thought they were doing overall good on offense, except for, again, Vooch. Posted up Vooch more. But defensively, man, this was a horrible defensive game for the Bulls, and I'm lost with what some of the decisions were on defense. And this is where I'm just like, I just don't know who to blame, really. I want to blame the players, but like, this one, it just seemed like, I'm gonna always bring this up. Like, let's just look at the game details or game charts for this one. Like, the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're in the top of the league in paint points. Okay, you as the Chicago Bulls, you have to be aware of that. Like, they want to score in the paint. Okay. They want to get inside. They're going to back cut you. They're going to think drive first. Okay. And instead of doing that, you're like, okay, we're running out to 3-point shooters, right? You're running out to Josh Giddey. You're running out to Lou Dort. You're running out to Jalen Williams. Like, these guys, you know, they're not shooters. Like, they want to go to the rim. And so they shoot 24% from 3-point range in this game on 29 shots. But then the Bulls give up 68 points in the paint. To me, that's just lack of preparation by the Bulls coaching staff. Like, we're seeing everybody running out to these guys as if they're great shooters. Everybody. Like, good defenders, bad defenders. It didn't matter who. And I'm lost. I don't understand why you're doing such a thing. Like, it just made no sense. And just looking at the box score for these guys, like, let's just look at this. Darius Bazley hit 2 threes. Okay. But I would much rather see Darius Bazley shoot from outside than to look to score in the paint and start back cutting guys and start and jump up for layups and like go run the pick and roll with them, because Darius Bazley is a very, very solid player, and he's very springy on the floor. Like, the dude can really go up high and score around the rim. But you see here, like, he hit 2 threes, and all of a sudden the Bulls are worried about his 3-point shot. Josh Giddey, 0 for 1. Pokashevsky, like, he hit one, but like, you shouldn't worry about him. Like, let him shoot the 3. Trey Mann, he hit one, but it was a tough shot. But Kenrich Williams is 0 for 2. Jalen Williams 0 for 1. Lou Dort 1 for 4. Jeremiah Robinson Earl had 2 horribly missed threes. Like, they were both bricks, and Isaiah Joe hit 2, but he was 2 for 6. Like, I've been saying this so many times throughout the year that the Bulls have to defend the paint first, force the opposing team to shoot outside shots. I would much rather see, Pokuševski, instead of out of his 13 shots, I would hope to see that at least 6 of them were from 3, because that means you did a good job on defense, right? But out of the 95 shots that the Thunder took, they shot 29 threes. That number should be close to 40, in my opinion. You need to make this Thunder team beat you from outside. And the Bulls didn't do that tonight. So, is it on the players? Maybe, but I'm blaming coaching. I think this was severely just Billy Donovan and his staff did not prepare for this game. I understand Thanksgiving is also, yesterday, and they're probably not with the team too much, but they clearly weren't aware of the scouting report for these guys, and that bothered me a lot in this game. So just bad overall coaching, in my opinion. And I'm actually on the stream. I want to see what Donovan has to say, and we can go over it with each other. I want to see what he really has to wants to say, and see what his thoughts were on this game, because he's probably gonna say we didn't get off to a great start, and blah 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 blah. We had some rough moments on offense, but I'm like, the defense, man, the defense lost you this game, just straight up. They did not do a good job defensively in this one, and I think that needs to be really, really highlighted, in my opinion. So yeah, just a weird game for the Bulls, and I'm not happy. Other coaching decisions that I want to point out. I think it was right to not put Javonte Green, or not play Javonte Green too much. I don't think he was 100%. I think he definitely was kind of dealing with something, and he fell hard last game, and it looks like it kind of affected him. So that was correct. I understand that Dragic is a little, still banged up, but he did not have a good game. And he didn't play a lot in the second half, which is fine. But then, if you're not going to play those guys too much, then I thought Derrick Jones Jr. should have played more in the first half. They didn't put him in the first half, but they put him in the second half, and that was the right decision. He came in and gave the Bulls a little bit of a spark, but you got to play him in the first half if you're not going to play Javonte Green effective minutes. And I thought they used Kobe correctly. I thought Kobe was all right tonight, so there's that. And then not using Drummond in that fourth quarter, I also thought was the correct decision. But if you're not going to use Drummond in the fourth quarter, you probably should have used them in the third quarter, because that's when I thought the Bulls could have probably used a little bit more size. So just, again, coaching, but those decisions aren't too big. At the end of the day, Bulls should have won this one. They got to do better defensively. Offensively, I thought it was okay, but again, post up Vooch, please. They didn't do that tonight. So good news, in my opinion, to take from this one. I thought Patrick Williams looked fantastic tonight. He was everywhere. He got some incredible blocks. He was rebounding the ball pretty well, except for one little mishap down the stretch where he gave up an offensive rebound to Kenrich Williams for a putback to tie the game. But other than that, I thought P-Dub played great tonight, and I had no issues with what he did. And he probably got fouled on multiple dunk attempts. So good to see P. Will playing good. And then for the Stars tonight, I thought Levine played pretty good overall, but you can still tell that he's still trying to figure out his shot. But he put up 12 points in the fourth, so I don't know what else you could have asked for him. He, for some reason, and this is where I think coaching comes into play again. Down the stretch in the overtime, I believe only DeMar DeRozan scored for the Bulls in OT. That, to me, is inexcusable, and I don't know exactly what Donovan was thinking, but it was basically the exact same play every single time down the floor. Levine had two shots at threes. He just didn't make them, but we saw Vooch obviously miss a three, but it was just too much DeMar down the stretch, and he clearly wasn't on his A game tonight. Like, he was missing shots that he usually makes. So you can't run everything through DeRozan. You have guys like Io out there that can effectively run the pick and roll. I just it just doesn't make much sense to me how all of a sudden, like, you're only using DeRozan down the stretch. Like, you gotta get the other guys involved here if DeRozan's just not having that great of a game. And that last shot, I'm not too upset with it to tie the game, or whatever it was, to take the lead or whatever, or just to tie. He missed it. Yeah, I mean, so be it. So if you just straight up missed it, can't be too upset. Yeah. What's going on, McGooglis? Glad to see you here. Gonna watch the full game. What were the flaws this game? I did see Zach at 27 on poor efficiency. Yeah, I mean, I think Zach overall tonight was pretty good. Like, again, 12 points in the fourth quarter. Like, he sparked that Bulls comeback in the fourth quarter. But he kind of disappeared in OT. And that's where I thought the Bulls could have used him more effectively, because he wasn't being used in OT. It was straight up just, he brought the ball up and then just threw it to DeMar, and it was just DeMar isolation or DeMar pick and roll that went nowhere. And look, I'll give DeRozan credit. Like, he was the only one to score in OT, but they got to use Zach right, and they just didn't use him in OT. I don't know what that was about. So that was just an issue. But to answer your question, Magugla, issues tonight was defense. The Bulls were running out to the Thunder players as if they were great shooters, and the Thunder, they're looking to score in the paint. They're at the top of the league in points in the paint. They want to score in the paint. That's their entire idea. But you see here, they shot 7-29 from 3-point range, which is like, that's horrible shooting from 3-point range. Shoot more from out there. But the Bulls let them get inside all game, and yet the Bulls give up 68 points in the paint. Like, that's just straight up inexcusable. Like, I'm blaming coaching, but I mean, I want to blame the players, but it just seemed like that was the game plan tonight, was run out to everybody as if they were shooters, and I just don't understand. So to me, that's the biggest issue tonight. Yeah, Vooch went 1 for 7 from 3, and that's the other coaching decision that should have happened, which was put Vooch in the post more. They didn't do that. I just don't know why. They didn't use Vooch in the post tonight when they should have. The Lou Dort basket interference saved the Bulls in that fourth quarter. Was that fourth quarter? Yeah, I guess it was fourth quarter, yeah. Yeah, it definitely helped the Bulls. I'll say that. But, yeah, just a young team, it is what it is, honestly. Yeah, helped the Bulls a lot, but didn't matter in the end. Bulls ended up losing this game anyway. So, this is like, it's just been, I'm very kind of stuck in between with this team currently. Obviously, there's some great wins with this team, but then all of a sudden we can't win against the bad teams, and I don't think OKC is necessarily terrible. Like, they have a superstar in SGA. They have good role players, but I mean, the Bulls are just better. I mean, that's a fact. So I just don't know what exactly to say about this one, and like, I don't know exactly what to say about the season so far. The Bulls are 8-11 so far. We have losses to the Wizards, to the San Antonio Spurs, and the Oklahoma City Thunder. I guess you look back at that Wizards game, it doesn't look too bad right now because the Wizards are 10-9. But probably should have won that one still. San Antonio, you can't lose to him. And then obviously you lost to the Magic. And that was during a losing streak. So, doesn't, like, you should have won that one 100% if you make some free throws. But still, you only played 24 minutes of the Magic game. So, like, it just seems like this Bulls team doesn't prepare right when it's a bad team. But when it's a good team, I mean, this Bulls team has beaten the Boston Celtics twice. You've beaten the Milwaukee Bucks once. You've stayed in the game against the Philadelphia 76ers, but lost to a Joel Embiid 3. Like, we're seeing this Bulls team, like, they're in these games, which we think that they probably shouldn't be against the top teams. But when it comes to the poor teams, we're losing. So I'm just kind of like stuck. I'm just kind of stuck right now with this Bulls team. So I think overall it's good to see that this Bulls team can win against the good teams, because that we didn't do that at all last season. That's what everyone was saying, was like, well, you won against all the bad teams, but you can't beat good teams. So what's the point? Well, now it's that the Bulls are beating the good teams, but can't beat the bad teams. So I think that's fixable for the Bulls, where they can actually, start winning against these bad teams. I'm glad to see that they're winning against good teams, because I think that's something that isn't necessarily fixable if you're losing against them all. So, yeah, I don't know. This is definitely an opportunity tonight where I said that the Bulls could go 4-2 on this road trip. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I think they're going to go 500, even though they won against the Bucks on their first game. So, yeah, I don't know. But overall, just bad for the Bulls. But I know that these games happen. It's happened too many times already for this Bulls team early on. I mean, look, let's be real. Like, we saw the Denver Nuggets. I mean, I know the Jazz are playing well, but we saw the Nuggets. They just lost. They lost to the Jazz opening night, and then they just recently lost to the Pistons, if I'm remembering correctly. So, like, good teams, they lose to bad teams. That happens. It's the NBA, but it's already happened too many times for the Bulls to be comfortable. You can't continue losing games. So. Yeah, I'm kind of here just scratching my head. See, the Nuggets, they lost to the Pistons. It happens. I know it does, but Bulls team needs to do better. They just have to. They have to prepare every single game and understand who the shooters are, who the guys, who are the slashers are, who are the guys who want to go to the paint, etc. Yeah, I don't know. It's a very just disappointing overall loss. And lack of preparation. Yeah, I'm still waiting to see if Donovan starts speaking or not. But like, it's just insane to see how like how this Bulls team just doesn't look ready to play against the bad teams. I mean, look, we're seeing this also. Like, the Atlanta Hawks just lost to the Houston Rockets. Like, I understand that this stuff happens. The Phoenix Suns are in a dogfight against the Pistons right now at home. So, stuff like this happens. I mean, I get it. It's going to happen. But it shouldn't happen this often for the Bulls. They need to come ready to play every single night. And they can't. This is where I'm a little bit like in between here. Like, DeRozan and Levine, it was very evident that like they had to take over, and they honestly did. That they did just that. They took over, like, the two of them down the stretch. But like, these other guys, namely Vucevic, but again, he should have been in the post. But some of these other guys, they got to start stepping up a little bit too here. Like, Derrick Jones Jr. came in and gave him 6 points in 6 minutes. To see Dragic, go 1 for 5, it's hard, and I understand because he's just come back from injury. But like, Drummond tonight, I thought did not play very well, and he kept chucking up shots in the paint where it's just like the dude's surrounded by 4 guys, and he needs to just throw the ball back out. He didn't do that. Yeah, it's like there needs to be a little bit extra help for the role players, because to see that DeRozan and Levine, they're taking 27 and 23 shots, so 50 shots between the two of them, it just kind of shows me that the other guys weren't really there. I thought Io did not play good at all, too, because there was a 3-ball from Io where he just absolutely airballed it from the corner. So Io did not really do that well tonight. And I mean, he had some good buckets in the fourth where he just took it right to the rim, which he needs to do more of, because that's something I know Io can do, where he can just go right to the rim. Do that more, because it helps the team tremendously, but you get very limited opportunities to do so. So everyone else besides Levine and DeRozan need to step it up scoring-wise for this team. And again, I don't think the offense was horrible, but you just depended on these two guys too much tonight. And they felt like they had to do everything, and they basically did. They basically did everything on offense tonight. Yeah, this man right here needs to do a little bit better. And he needs to, like, Donovan just needs to use him. Straight up. So, yeah, I'm just kind of like here, like, all right, you lost this one. Now what? You're gonna go and face the Utah Jazz team next, and I think you should win this one too. But currently, the Jazz have a better record than you, so maybe this isn't a guaranteed win. But this Jazz team, they chuck up a bunch of threes, so now the defense that you used tonight actually looks like the better one, where you're running out to the 3-point shooters and trying to get them off the 3-point line. That's the defense you should use in this game, but instead use against the poor shooting Oklahoma City Thunder team instead, and let them score a bunch of points in the paint. So instead of not reading the scouting report again and not being prepared for this game, let's be prepared for this one, where you understand who the shooters are: Lauri Markkanen, Jordan Clarkson, etc., and you understand who the guys that can't shoot and are looking to only go and cut towards the rim. Colin Sexton, for example, is a great. He's a good player, but you want Sexton to be shooting the ball instead of him getting to the paint. Make guys that are not great great shooters shoot the ball. It's the defense I've been saying this entire time. You have to do that every single night, and you got to protect the paint first, especially from the guys that are looking to score in the paint. But be aware of who the shooters are, who to close out hard on, but don't start closing out hard on guys that can't shoot the ball. Like, make sure you're closing out on the correct guys. The Bulls just didn't do that tonight, and it cost them. So, do better. Let's see here. Need more bench consistency. Kobe. I thought Kobe was all right. I mean, we could have used a little bit more points from him, definitely. But, I thought he had some open looks. He just didn't make them. But I can't be too upset with them. I thought he was okay. Defensively, I thought he could do a little bit better. I would definitely say that. He definitely needs to do a little bit better defensively. He did not have like a great defensive game like he did against Milwaukee. So do better. Lauri about to have a masterclass against us. We'll see. I don't think Lauri's gonna actually go off. I think he's gonna have a decent game against us, but I don't see him going off for like 30 plus. I think the Bulls will be very much aware of what Lauri has been doing this season, and I think without Mike Conley for this Jazz team, like, this Jazz team is not, I feel like they're gonna not have that great of, their offense is not gonna be as good. We saw in the last game for the Utah Jazz, where is it? Against the Detroit Pistons here, that, okay, I guess box score doesn't work. They lost this one. Cool, I guess. Let's just reload this. That Lauri didn't have a great game, so he's probably looking to have a bounce back game. Why won't this work? Okay, let's go to the score then. So he's looking to have a bounce back game, but like I think without Mike Conley, it's going to be a little bit tougher for him, in my opinion, to have a better game. Let's see, where is? Oh, yeah, they don't show box scores in this. Forgot. But see here, just from their last game, the Jazz, they chuck up a bunch of threes. They're gonna be shooting so many threes in this game. So Bulls have to be ready. They pass the ball pretty well, but if you're aware of who the shooters are, like Malik Beasley, for example, you'll be fine. You'll be doing a good job to prevent them from absolutely just wrecking you from 3-point range and forcing guys that don't want to go into the paint to go into the paint. Very simple. Let's see if I can pull up this box score finally. Yeah, I don't know why this won't work. So sorry, guys. Yeah. I don't understand. All right. Well, Jazz are facing the Warriors currently. It's 4 right now. Lauri Markkanen is 4-10 from the field. So they just have to be more aware for this game if you're the Bulls, who the shooters are, who to leave open, who not to leave open. Let's see here. Didn't know that Javonte played yet. So Javonte Green was questionable, or like I think probable for this game, and he played, but he did not look very good. He had 2 turnovers that were kind of costly after the Bulls got 2 defensive stops, and he turned the ball over twice. So that wasn't good by Javonte. But He also just didn't look as explosive. He kind of looked a little slow tonight, and I think it's because he took that hard fall against the Bucks, and he just didn't look right. So I'm cool with Donovan not playing him as much, but then if you're not going to play him, you got to play Derrick Jones Jr. more, and Derrick Jones Jr. only got 6 minutes tonight. So just overall, not good by Donovan in my opinion. But all right, now that I've gone off about the Bulls enough here, but I want to talk about the Thunder here for a second and uh, look at what they're doing here. First off, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a superstar. I think people don't know that about SGA. I've been a big SGA fan ever since he's gotten to the league. When he was drafted by the Clippers, or I guess he was actually technically drafted by the Hornets. Right to the Clippers. But ever since SGA has been in this league, I've been a huge fan of his. I think he's been he came in and was 6'6" and is a very lengthy defender, but he's also like a combo guard that looks very intriguing. His shot definitely has some weird mechanics, but I think just watching him, like you can tell that he's very smooth with the basketball. So the Thunder, they're looking pretty good overall for the future if they decide to keep him. But they have a tough decision to make, honestly, if you're the Thunder. Like with SGA in hand, and this season's more just kind of like, well, we don't have our guys this season. You don't have Chet Holmgren, right? And you're honestly waiting on drafting a bunch of other guys too with all your draft picks that you've acquired. Like, how long is SGA going to be willing to wait? As he's now, in his prime, and like he's become this superstar. And also, do the Thunder value him as that, or because SGA's value is skyrocketing around the league right now? Like, what can you get for a guy like SGA? And like, is it worth considering trading him? I personally don't know, but the Thunder, they're definitely in an interesting spot right now with SGA in hand and him playing so well. They're going to make a decision. I was kind of thinking that the Thunder might just tank this season to go get Victor Wembanyama, because then they have the twin towers of Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren at their 4 and 5 spots, which is definitely very intriguing with an SGA in hand. But it looks like they're not going to do that, and I appreciate that they're not going to do that. They know they're not making the playoffs, so I'm happy that they're still playing hard and they're still looking to win every single game. And SGA doesn't have like a phantom injury, that we saw. I feel like a lot of last season, like he just kind of was out. And they're at least playing their guys, and I respect that a lot by the Thunder. Last season, though, they didn't really do that. They just kind of held guys out, like Derek Favors was just never playing for the Thunder. And I think that's just not good. They got to play the guys on their roster and try to win every single game, because that's how you build a culture. That's how you actually build chemistry with these guys. And a player like Lou Dort, for example, a guy that went undrafted, was with the Thunder on a 2-way contract, and then finally got an actual contract with the team. He's become a very, very good player. He's one of those 2-way guys that can shoot the 3-ball, which I know was an issue for him to start his career, but he's gotten a lot better at it, and he's a great defender. So they have a lot of good pieces for this team. And moving forward, they look pretty good, but they're going to make a decision soon on what they actually want to do. Do they keep rolling with SGA, or do they decide to look to trade him? Because a team, for example, like the Toronto Raptors, I know for a fact that they want Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on their team, because obviously the Canada connection, but the Raptors are just kind of sitting around here, and they're like kind of like a very decent team, but they still have some issues, right? Fred VanVleet, I love him, but I don't really know how much of like an all-star caliber player he is right now. And obviously, Pascal Siakam is playing phenomenal, but he's dealing with some injuries. And Scotty Barnes currently is kind of going through that sophomore slump, which is kind of expected. But if you're the Toronto Raptors, like, you're probably looking at SGA like, okay, we can trade you Gary Trent, trade you some other young pieces, like, we want him here, and pair him with Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet. that Raptors team all of a sudden looks like a very, very scary team. But if you're the Thunder, what can you get in return that's worth it? I don't know. That's gonna be something that Sam Presti's gonna have to figure out by himself. Josh Giddey's another guy that I like a lot. I think he is a tad bit overrated though, from what I've been kind of seeing. A lot of people, I feel like they're like huge on Josh Giddey, and I think he is a little bit overrated to kind of start his career. But I like it. Like I truly like Josh Giddey in his game. As you can see tonight, he almost had a triple double. He definitely needs to work on a couple of things. His 3-point shooting is still inconsistent in my opinion, and his finishing around the rim needs to be a little bit better. But if he just works on his decision making and starts working on his shot, I mean, we're looking at a guy that can be filling up the box score every single night and is a very good complement to anybody with whoever he plays with, as he can handle the ball, defend multiple positions, he can rebound it very well for a guard, and if he ever gets a 3-point shot, that's very effective. So Thunder are looking pretty good moving forward. And then I'll lastly say this: I am not that big of a fan of Pokusevski. I don't know what you guys think, but Alexei Pokusevski, I don't know what the Thunder exactly see in him. Of course, I'm going to regret this in a few years, but I'm not a big fan of him. I think the dude just he plays a little bit out of control. I think he's just very, very, very skinny for a dude that's 7 foot. I know that they played him at center tonight. I've seen him play basically anywhere, or any position, and I think he's a guy that, I understand the raw talent, and him being 7 foot is very intriguing, but I just don't know if he has the right mentality to actually play well in the NBA to the point where he's like an actual solid foundation piece. But that's my opinion. Maybe Thunder fans can tell me what they see in him. For what I've seen from Pokusevski, I'm just I am not a fan of him. So who knows what they're going to be looking at? Obviously, with Chet Holmgren, that's your big man of the future, and not Pokusevski. But Pokusevski, I feel like can play a lot of positions. I just don't know if he can play it well. And we saw, even tonight, where Pokusevski kind of threw up a shot, and it just kind of was what was that? And it was a fast break opportunity. He looked to draw the foul and just kind of chucked up a shot on fast break and it went basically over the backboard. So I don't know, man. Okay game from him tonight. I'm just not the biggest fan of him. I think he needs to work on a lot of things, but obviously very young when he got drafted. Obviously has the length. Needs to work on his body a lot to be able to hang around in the NBA and not get either thrown around or injured. So give him some time. I just don't think he's a foundation piece in my opinion, but looks like the Thunder are pretty high on him. So that's my whole spiel about the Thunder. As a guy that kind of watched the Thunder go through many stages, the KD and Russell Westbrook era to then post KD era and Russell Westbrook going through his MVPs or his MVP season, and they've been a franchise that has always been relevant in my time watching basketball until obviously last season. But I'm open for good things from the Thunder, honestly. I think that they have a pretty solid future. I just don't know what they're going to do with all their draft picks, because they have all the draft picks in the world, honestly. And that's very interesting. So they have to make a decision on these draft picks, because you can't draft 8 guys every single season. There won't be enough roster spots on the team. I don't know what they're going to do. So that's going to be interesting to watch as they start making some decisions about their future, who stays, who goes, etc. But at the end of the day, the Bulls lost to them. Yeah, just bad by the Bulls. And I want to hear your thoughts, chat, on Billy Donovan. I want to kind of hear what you guys have to say about Billy Donovan. Was this, am I right to kind of say that coaching was a big issue tonight, or am I putting too much criticism on Billy Donovan? And was this more on the players? I personally think Billy Donovan just was not prepared for this game, and he did not prepare the players correctly, and the entire coaching staff did not prepare the players right. But it seemed like they were too focused on SGA when they should have been aware of the other guys as well. So your thoughts on Billy Donovan and the coaching staff? And who knows, man? Maybe like there's not gonna be changes this season in the coaching staff, in my opinion, but who knows? Maybe in the offseason there might be some changes going on. Remember when they had PG? The Thunder when they had PG in that Westbrook PG 13 and Carmelo Anthony era that one year. That was very interesting. I was very high on that team, honestly. I thought that team could go all the way, and I thought they were actually the best overall team to go against the Warriors because I thought they matched up pretty well, but they did not go very far. They were the 4th seed, lost in the first round to the Jazz. Then they traded Carmelo Anthony for Dennis Schroeder, which was a very solid move, but then the rest of the team just wasn't good. They had no good supporting cast besides Steven Adams. They were relying too heavily on guys that couldn't shoot to shoot. And then they lost to the Portland Trailblazers on the Damian Lillard famous game winner that he did. Thunder, they've always been relevant in my time, because then even past that season, when PG went to LA and Westbrook went to Houston, they had Chris Paul, SGA, and Dennis Schroeder. And they were in the playoffs that season, and then they finally decided to hit the rebuild button. So, Thunder is always a team that I'm always going to be watching because it's an interesting franchise, but interesting decisions they're going to have to make moving forward here. I'm kind of, let's see here. That's just Gordon Hayward and Woj Shams letting us know. So this is someone I follow, Farheen. The Bulls have not won a weekend game, and I don't know what it is about the weekend for the Bulls, but they have not won a weekend game. So if you count Friday, the Bulls just have never won on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So who knows? Like I at this point I'm just very confused, you know. So again, I just 0-5 when they play on Friday. So who knows, man? Something bad is going on for the Bulls on weekends. They just can't do that. I don't actually see any. Let's see if we go to Cody Westerlund. I don't see any post-game comments from Billy Donovan, and I'm a little bit upset that I'm not seeing any. So, looks like we're not able to do that tonight. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll switch it up later. But and my thoughts. I just think Billy Donovan he wasn't prepared for this game. I think he straight up just did not prepare well. The coaching staff did not prepare well. They did not force the Thunder to shoot more 3-point shots when they should have. Too many points in the paint. 68 points given up by the Bulls in the paint. Inexcusable. They can't allow that to happen at any team. And then, of course, you do it against this Thunder team, and that's the only way they can score. I mean, if we look at points in the paint, whoops. And, of course, it didn't work. Let's see. NBA. Like, this Thunder team this season, they're leading the league in points in the paint. Why are you allowing the Thunder team to get all these points in the paint? Like, it just, to me, sounds like the Bulls coaching staff just had no clue about this. And they're like, okay, we're going to run up these guys off the 3-point line. We're going to actually force them to shoot 3-point shots. We're going to force them to run off the 3-point line and then force them to make inside shots. Don't know, man. I just straight up don't know why that was the game plan. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the players didn't execute the game plan, but to me, that looked like the game plan tonight. So yeah, there's some issues offensively, but to me, it was defense that was the problem all game for the Bulls. They did not do a good job defensively. And weren't aware what to do defensively against the Thunder team. So just bad by the Bulls tonight, and I really don't know what else to really say. I think it's just kind of obvious like what the Bulls could have done. Like if the Bulls limited the Thunder to, I think honestly even 50 paint points tonight, they probably win this game easily. But to give up 60 plus and almost 70 points in the paint in a game, I know it was overtime too, but either way, man, like, even if you play overtime, you should not be giving up 68 points in the paint to the Thunder team. I know that's what they do. I know that's their game plan is to get inside, but they just gotta do better. They have to understand what the team's strengths are that they're facing. So Utah, right? We just talked about this. They're looking to score outside. They look to shoot the 3-ball. So you have to take away the 3-point shot against the best 3-point shooters. It's just straight up the case. Make sure that you don't allow Utah to destroy you from 3-point range. In their next game, and Bulls need to 100% win the rebounding battle against Utah. We've seen Utah actually go pretty big in some lineups. We've seen Lauri Markkanen and Kelly Olynyk. They're kind of like the starting 4 and 5 for this team. So that's basically 2 7-footers out there. So Bulls have to get the rebounds against this team. They have to out rebound the Utah Jazz because they have the size as well to wreck you on the board. So out rebound the Utah Jazz, do a good job of that, and try to force them to not beat you from the 3-point line. Like you're gonna actually see this Bulls team and want to see them actually run out to the 3-point shooters and try to force them to shoot mid-range shots instead of shooting 3-point shots. Because the Jazz, they've always run the system where they're always looking to get as many catch and shoot threes as possible. So do that. And then a weakness of the Jazz is their turnovers. This is a young team for the Jazz. They don't, it's also a team that has made a lot of changes. So you right now with Mike Conley not playing, you can take advantage of this team on the perimeter and force them into turning the ball over and getting a lot of transition opportunities. So take advantage of that. Of this against the Jazz. You can get, if you just press a little bit against the Jazz and try to and really get into the guard spaces and force them to have to make decisions with the basketball, you're gonna get a lot of transition opportunities against this Jazz team. So go do that and be prepared for that type of stuff. I know this Bulls team, like, we've seen them and this, their 2-game winning streak against the Celtics and the Bucks. That's great. And they were probably riding that high a little bit too much tonight. Acting like, okay, we won against the Bucks, so there's no way we can lose against the Thunder. That is a mentality that is going to ruin you. And this Bulls team needs to come out against the Utah Jazz after losing to the Thunder and punch them in the mouth. We did that honestly against the Thunder to start the game, but then we got complacent. So come out in Utah. It's gonna be loud in Utah. It's always loud in Utah. And withstand and weather the storm for the first couple of minutes, which is always how it's going to go in Utah. Weather that storm, and then for the rest of the game, control it. If you do that, you should win this game by 20. But if you don't do that, you're going to lose this game very, very easily. So it's important for this Bulls team just to understand what the other team does. And I don't know why this Bulls team didn't do that against the Thunder. So I'm looking at this game as a pretty big game for this Bulls team. Is it a must-win? No, but it's a big one. You should win this one, in my opinion. You have the guys to win this game, because then coming up, I would like to hopefully win at least against Utah before I have to face Phoenix, Golden State, and Sacramento. Obviously, Golden State is kind of going through some struggles, but as we talked about before, they're still a very, very good team. And I think the Bulls probably are going to have some issues against Golden State. If the Golden State Warriors continue to have some struggles, they just beat the Clippers the other night. But, if Golden State continues to have some struggles, like, maybe you can steal that one. But I don't know. We'll see. Phoenix, they don't have Chris Paul right now. And I know he hasn't really given a timeline about when he's going to come back. But that's still a very good Phoenix Suns team. They play correctly, and I'm concerned about that game. But Sacramento, they did lose, so their 7-game winning streak is over. But They've played well to start. I do think that is a very winnable game, though, for the Bulls. So I hope that they take advantage of that Sacramento Kings team. And that's a team that I think you can score a lot of points inside using Vooch. So take advantage of that. Then obviously the road trip is over. So in my opinion, because you got the win against the Bucks, I thought you could have won 4-2 on this road trip. Right now, I'm looking at hopefully going 3-3. Get this game against Utah. Win one of Phoenix, Golden State, or Sacramento. I think that we're looking okay for this road trip. But not winning against OKC, I think is pretty disappointing. And they probably should have won against them. What's going to be funny though is if the Bulls they lose against Utah, but then they win against Phoenix, Golden State, and Sacramento because those are the better teams on this road trip. So you won against all the good teams, but then you lose against the teams you probably should have won against. Because that's the definition of this ridiculous roller coaster season for the Bulls, is winning against the good teams, but then not winning against the bad teams. So yeah, not good, because I thought the Bulls could get to 9-10 tonight, and then hopefully get to 500 on this road trip, but they're not going to do that, unfortunately, as they lost to the Thunder. But they can prove me wrong. They have time to prove me wrong and win 3 of their next 4. Go do that. That'd be great. I'd be very, very pleased if they did that. But I don't have faith in that. All right. A lot of talking, and I'm just kind of here just like, all right, that was disappointing. Not too upset. I don't know what you guys think. What do you guys think? Are you guys like pissed? Are you guys angry? I'm personally not like too upset. It's disappointing, yeah, but I'm just kind of like, all right, you just gotta come ready. But now that I'm done with talk about both teams and looking at the Bulls' upcoming schedule, anything you guys want to talk about before we call it a night here? I've been kind of keeping up with the NBA. I do have like kind of some topics in mind, but I'm willing to listen to what you guys have to say. Anything crazy going around the league currently? Obviously that Woj tweet just is a topic we can talk about. You're not upset because you didn't watch the game? That makes sense, yeah. I think, as much as, people always watch the game, it also kind of does affect their mental if the team doesn't perform well. So I understand if you don't watch every single game because that is sometimes not good for people. But also, you said you're at the movies, so hope you had fun there. Magugla. We could have done better. Yeah, definitely could have done better. I'm just kind of like, all right, well, come back next game, please. If you don't, then I'll be upset. That's when you're gonna see an angry post-game stream from me. Is if you put up an absolute dud against the Jazz and don't pay attention to the scouting report. What should the Lakers do with Westbrook? Ooh, okay, this is a good one by Anthony. So I checked in a little bit of this the Lakers game. So they won in LeBron's return, but what was interesting was that in LeBron's return, look at Westbrook's numbers. He did not have a good game tonight. I was like checking in on this, and I'm like, oh man, Westbrook's struggling in LeBron's returns. And I think at this point right now, man, if you're the Lakers, like this is the part with the Lakers that I'm like, I don't know what Rob Pelinka is looking at. The Lakers have a lot of potential cap space for next season. So, this season they're obviously, I mean, they're so far into the luxury tax, it's ridiculous. Oh shit, I always do this. Sorry about my swearing. But I mean, you look at this right here, like we're looking at $34 million next season. And this is with LeBron and AD's contract. So they have some money next off season, and I just don't know if you want to ruin that, because if you trade Westbrook right now, you're probably taking on a contract that is for multiple seasons, because the team that is trading for Westbrook is looking to probably clear up cap space for next off season. So at this point right now, in my opinion, I think that the Lakers, you just let it go. If you can make other deals where you're getting 1 year contracts in return, I'd do it, but because Westbrook is, probably not going to get you that, I wouldn't look to. I honestly just wouldn't look to move him for anything because all the teams are going to be offering you some, contracts that are going to be multi-year deals, and you just don't want that on this roster. Unless, and here's the other thing, unless you're looking to just acquire a bunch of trade assets. So let's say you trade Westbrook and a team is willing to offer you a lot of draft picks, but then some draft picks, but then also some, young guys and some decent players on some on like some multi-year contracts. That's the only time that I would be like, okay, you take on that money because then you're able to use that money in trades. But that $34 million right here that I'm looking at, like, this is something that the Lakers probably want to kind of fill out the roster and reset a little bit. Because, I mean, look at AD and LeBron, they're making up for $86 million. We'll see what they do with Damian Jones and Max Christie. I'm going to say they're probably gone for next season. But so you got $34 million projected. And then I can see them getting another $4 million, so like $38 million. Yeah, I would personally keep Westbrook currently, and see if you can make some other deals around them just to kind of maybe salvage the season. But I think making any Westbrook deal that takes on extra contracts and takes on those multi-year deals, I think it ruins you for the future. I personally would not want to ruin the future if I was the Lakers, because that might be the light at the end of your tunnel, and trading Westbrook for those contracts might just ruin that. So, your thoughts on that, Anthony? Those are my thoughts currently. All the other games I'll watch. Okay, yeah, Magula's gonna watch the other games tonight. Which, I mean, I think there's some good games going on. Jazz are losing very badly now to the Warriors, so there's that right now. Let's see here. So Larry's having a decent game, but you see here that without Mike Conley, there's some issues with this Jazz team. So Warriors are finally starting to look like they're putting it together, but they've beat some undermanned teams recently. Thanks, man. Interesting take. Gotcha. Glad I can like kind of give some insight on that. This was a very good game. The Cavs and the Bucks went up against each other. Obviously, the Bucks still don't have Chris Middleton, but this was like this is one of those matchups I was like really looking forward to. And the Bucks, they took care of business, man. Like, this is just the interesting thing. Like, this Cavs team, I have to say, like, I mean, as you can see here, this Cavs team, they were basically healthy without Jarrett Allen for most of the game. But I honestly thought that Evan Mobley would be like having a big season, and it looks like he's fallen under that sophomore slump as well. And it's kind of shocking to me because it seems like with just his length and his height, he could probably dominate, or at least be that third consistent scorer. But right now, like, I think the third scorer has been Karis LeVert, and he didn't play in this one. So, like, the Cavs, they had their main guys tonight, except for Jarrett Allen for only 12 minutes. Just interesting to see that. And then Giannis had a crazy game. But the biggest thing I'm looking at is Javon Carter put up 18 points when that probably shouldn't happen. If you're losing Javon Carter, that's going to happen. And for this Cavs team, that the Mitchell and Garland backcourt, it's definitely worked on offense. But if you don't have Mobley and Allen playing well and also being those great defenders, then I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to watch. I do think this Cavs team is still better than the Bulls. I said that before the season started, and obviously they play that way. But I don't think this is very good to see that the Cavs, they lost by 15 against the Bucks, when I think that they thought like, oh, maybe we're actually like right there with them, because they had a 10-point third quarter, which is something that I've seen happen to Mitchell a lot, where like he just doesn't have a good third quarter. So yeah, interesting to see this. Cavs were leading, obviously, but then they didn't finish out the game. Not a good third quarter. That never looks good. Only game I remember I got mad at was the Magic game this year and lose to the 0-13 Rockets last season. Yeah, that loss to the Magic, I can understand why a lot of Bulls fans were upset. I don't know. You guys kind of saw in my postgame stream in that one. I was just kind of smiling because I'm like, well, when it rains, it pours. You know, I wasn't shocked to see that Jalen Suggs took the three because, again, you go for the win on the road. I always say that, and people feel like they don't think that's right, but you see why. And, you know, Bulls should have probably won that Magic game, even though they didn't play well. If Vooch makes 2 free throws, they win it. He missed both. And so when it rains, it pours. But luckily, that's been done. But obviously, another bad loss tonight. So hopefully these bad losses stop. But who knows? And then last season, that 0-13 loss to the Rockets was just so interesting to me because Garrison Matthews in that game, I swear to God, he turned into Larry Bird. Like, the Bulls were defending him correctly, in my opinion, but he just kept making shot after shot after shot. And I'm like, you know what? This Rockets team, they're just bad, and they had the game. And then, of course, it didn't look too bad for the Bulls because then the Rockets won an 8-game winning streak. So they just started defeating everybody. So, yeah, in context, that loss to the Rockets wasn't too bad. That was just just one of those things, man. Yeah, I don't know. That was a weird loss. But one thing I do want to talk about is this here. This is, I think, I'm going to say this like the last topic of tonight, unless some other people want to talk about some other things here. But Gordon Hayward, obviously he had that ridiculous injury when his first game in Boston. Broken ankle and broken leg, freak injury, and it was so hard to watch that. And also, I don't think he's ever been the same since. He's still a pretty good player, but I swear to God, this is like, it started for him, unfortunately, a bunch of injuries for his career, where like he's just all of a sudden just derailed by injuries. And you see here, he's out now with a fracture in his left shoulder, which is pretty scary. So I don't know exactly what happened, but that just happened for him, and like, yikes, that's never good. So I hope he looks, he's gonna be getting healthy, and hopefully his reevaluation is gonna go well. But with Gordon Hayward, man, just it sucks to see an NBA career where, like, you know, he's an all-star in Utah, he goes to Boston, it doesn't work out. Like, he's going to Boston thinking he's like the guy, and then Kyrie gets traded to Boston too, and then he breaks his leg. And then the rise of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown kind of all of a sudden shoves Gordon Hayward to the bench, or for the bench for some games, and then starting for other games. But then he's also, like, either way, he's like the fourth option on that team. And it was just a weird combination of guys. And I just think with Hayward, it's just been such a rough go. But then he gets paid 160, or was it 120 million? I don't know what it was, but he gets paid a good chunk of money by Charlotte, and I'm just like, what are you doing? He's played overall okay, but again, he just can't stay healthy. So sucks to see this for Gordon Hayward. But this leads me to my last thing I want to talk about, which is this. The Charlotte Hornets currently, like, you know, LaMelo Ball isn't playing, you know, like he got injured to start the year, he came back, and like he's still not playing. Like, he's injured, he re-aggravated it. Like, Garrison Matthews looked like Steph Curry. Yeah, Garrison Matthews looked like Steph Curry against us. That was just freak. But the Charlotte Hornets, man, like, I'm concerned about their future, and then obviously, you know, Gordon Hayward being injured doesn't help them. But this game, Hornets versus Minnesota Timberwolves, I'm personally, like, I'm scared for both of these franchises. For Charlotte, I think they act like LaMelo is like their savior. I'm personally just not the biggest fan of LaMelo. I like LaMelo, but I think people act like he's the next Luka Doncic when I just don't think he's the next Luka. I think he's an all-star, but I just don't think he's a superstar. So there's that going on, and then also now the Ball brothers, their injury history is looking awful right now. And obviously, Lonzo and LaMelo, they deserve to be in the NBA. I know people want LiAngelo to succeed, but to me, LiAngelo Ball is just not an NBA player. But either way, the two Ball brothers in the NBA, their injury history looks bad right now. So unfortunately, genetics seem to actually be an issue with their body. I hope they figure it out, but I don't know, man. Like this Hornets team, there's really nobody that I'm like getting excited for besides LaMelo, and I'm worried that LaMelo is not going to be used correctly for this team, and I just think this Hornets team just doesn't look very good. So I hope they figure it out. But this game also had this team here, and man, I just have to say it. I think the Minnesota Timberwolves they're gonna be one of the most disappointing teams this season if this continues. First off, Jaden McDaniels, like, he's had some good moments, but I kind of think that they kind of overvalued him a little bit. Like just a tad. At least in my opinion, he has some good games, this season, as you can see right here. But this combination of Gobert and Towns, they're relying on everyone else to like be a good defender and to make up for the problems that Gobert and Towns kind of leave, right? And I just don't know if this is going to work. This Minnesota Timberwolves team just lost to the Charlotte Hornets, and the Hornets did not have LaMelo. They did not have Gordon Hayward, right? You lost to Kelly Oubre, Terry Rozier, and PJ Washington tonight. That's like lowest of the low for this Timberwolves team. I think Chris Finch is a bad coach. I hated how he was hired. It just kind of randomly. The Minnesota Timberwolves just got rid of Ryan Saunders, and they just kind of hired Chris Finch out of nowhere. Didn't interview anybody else. Like, that's a poor job of doing. That's just a poor job of actually interviewing guys. Like, you didn't do a coaching search at all. You just kind of like, all right, we know our next guy. Just bad. And with Cat, like, I don't like seeing 11 3-point shots, but then I'm also understanding, like, Gobert is there. So, like, how is Cat going to get inside looks if Gobert is manning the paint? And I think guys like D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards, they haven't done a good job of trying to work together and make this lineup work. This Timberwolves team, man, I'm concerned about them. They got so much hype coming into this season about, trading for Gobert and trading all those draft picks away to get Gobert, and now you got Anthony Edwards on the rise. You got Karl-Anthony Towns finally paired up with somebody that they think is going to work out well. I don't know, man. Like this Timberwolves team, I'm just so concerned for their future because it kind of seems like it's a win now move, and like maybe they thought this Gobert would shoot them up into like contending status. It hasn't. At least for me. I'm gonna give them more time because it's early in the season. They haven't figured it out quite yet. Chemistry isn't quite there, but I just don't think it's ever gonna work out. Prove me wrong though. I'm just so concerned about this team moving forward, and I hate to say it, but like D'Angelo Russell, he needs to do better. And if he's not going to do better, I'd look to move him. His defense is just not cutting it at this point. And just like how Rudy Gobert was treated in Utah, like Gobert's a great shot blocker, but he can't fix all your defensive errors or your defense where you lack on defense, or defensive deficiencies. Anthony Edwards and D'Angelo Russell, they have to defend for Gobert to be effective. You can't just be relying on Gobert to cover up everything. So, just a weird team right now that I'm going to always be looking at. for the rest of the season. Timberwolves love wasted big men's careers. Garnett, Love, and now Cat. Yeah, it's been a trend of theirs, right? KG obviously won the MVP there. Kevin Love was amazing there. And then now Cat. And Cat, first overall pick. He's been there forever. And I don't know. This is like the second time, though, where the Timberwolves, they go out and make a trade. And, people are talking about them. They're talking about how they're going to shoot up into the standings. And, like, they're going to... become like a sleeper contender. Like they did this with Jimmy Butler too, where they traded for Jimmy Butler. You got Butler, Wiggins, Towns. Like you have all these guys on the team, and like it's like great. Well, then go do it, and now they still haven't done anything. Like they made the 7th seed last year, great, and they act like they won the championship. So. I'm so concerned about this Timberwolves team moving forward. Like, I'm very concerned. And I think they got too much hype, and this Gobert trade is just not going to end up working in their favor, unfortunately. So, my thoughts on some teams going around the league right now and where they currently stand, and hopefully things work out better for some of these teams that I talked about. But yeah, all right. That's going to do it for me, basically. Bulls take on the Utah Jazz next. Bulls gotta come ready in this one. Be prepared. If you lose this game, but your defensive game plan was solid, I can live with it. But this defensive game plan has to get figured out. They have to figure out this defensive game plan no matter what. Play good defense. If you lose just because of bad offense, so be it. But defensively, you got to play better. You gotta be prepared. You gotta play better. You gotta understand who you're facing. Do that. I'll be good. Just do that, and I'll be okay if you lose that one. But if you game plan well defensively, I think you win the game. So that's that. But that's gonna do it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the stream. Bulls lose to the Thunder in a bad one, but disappointing loss. But hopefully they come back against the Utah Jazz. If you have not already, hit that like button. I appreciate everybody that has already done that. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you like Bulls content. I'm making Bulls content throughout the entire season, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Once again, if you have not followed me on Twitter, here is a link to my Twitter account. I'm always going to be live tweeting for games during Bulls games and giving my analysis on that. And then here is my written content on my sports blog. Go check that out there if you want to see any sort of fun written content on not just Bulls content, but for other things as well. But that's going to do it for me for this post-game stream. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
you